live. Yes, Chris.
Woo!
Wow.
So live.
It is July 3rd. We're recording on Thursday,
America.
and prime topic here. So I'll let you take it away.
Prime topic. That's two on the nose, Jay. Um, that is the topic for today's show. The prime days. If you're not
Completely
aware,
accidental. I don't know where
yeah,
that came from.
it's great. That's really good. Prime days are next week, Jay. That's 1 week away. They're July 8th to July 11th, which means that if you're not ready, you need to be ready. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. We're going to hit some high points on what you need to do to make sure at this last minute, this last moment, that you can be prepared and ready to go for Prime Day. Because while it's really close, you're not too late. So remember, like, Prime Day does stimulate a lot of activity. Buying behavior is typically more aggressive. It's almost always mobile first. And of course, people like Jay and myself and everybody else that's mobile hunting, they're not just mobile hunting, they're deal hunting. So they're looking for those good deals. So in today's show, we're going to talk through a couple different things that you can do that can be actionable even with 5 days to go before Prime Day. So it is important to remind you that you want to focus on fast wins, not perfection. Like, this is definitely at this point in time, it's not about being perfect about it. It's about being able to stimulate some sales volume, that type of thing, some fast wins, get some cash into your pockets, that kind of thing. You also want to reprioritize those hero SKUs with proven conversion, and you really, really, really want to avoid panic discounting that ends up nuking your margins. Right? That's just those are like our key starting point takeaways. So,
Yeah,
Jay,
you gotta keep working those margins regardless.
right?
So yeah,
And so Jay, as we think about the things that we can do here, right?
yeah.
Um, what are the things that you might be able to do to scramble to, like, make this situation actually work for you, and if you for some reason you're not already ready to go.
Well, I mean, it's pay attention to a lot of those things that you mentioned there, and know exactly what's going on. And one thing you could do is target your ads. Looking at your advertising, and make sure that you are hitting the right
Right.
audience, the right products.
Yep.
Those hero products that we're talking about. Those are
Yeah.
those big sellers. Those that deliver your margins. Key in on those products right there. Those are the ones you want to hit. But
Yep.
I have a better question for you. What are you shopping for this Prime Week or Prime Day? Excuse me.
Well, Jay, you probably won't be surprised, but the thing that I'll be looking for over this Prime Week is actually a bowling ball. I
Nice.
For those of you that aren't aware, I bowl in a bowling league. I bowled yesterday, and so that's why I make the point to Jay that it's he'll understand. But my spare ball, man, it's a little bit worn. It's a few years old. By the finger plugs, it's starting to fray a little bit, starting to break off, chip off a little bit, and I'm overdue to get a new spare ball. So I started actually looking on Amazon for that earlier this week because I knew that Prime Days were on the way. I was trying to see if there were any early bargains out there, and there were not on the products I was interested in. So I'll be keeping a keen eye on that over the next week for sure. A few things that we will talk about today. Jay mentioned one. That's marketing ads and listings that can help you to convert. That's one topic that we'll talk through. We're also going to talk about off Amazon traffic and synchronizing your team, as well as what to do with post prime momentum. And then the first thing that we'll talk about is fulfillment hacks or last minute inventory things that you can do to make sure that you're ready to go for this week. So let's jump right into that. As we talk about inventory and fulfillment, obviously the very, 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 very first thing that you need to do is confirm that you have current inventory at Amazon of your top sellers. Make sure you've got enough inventory to support whatever kind of discounts or bargains you're sending, because you do not want to get, we've talked about that on this show all the time, right? Out of stocks are might as well be out of customers, right? Because if you don't have the product that people are looking for now, and especially at these exciting days, right? You're just going to lose that customer potentially forever. So you definitely want to make sure that your inventory levels are reasonable to support whatever demand you're expecting at the price points that you're carrying, and particularly on those same hero items, right? Those items that are the ones that are bringing your margin in and going to sell in higher volumes. So the FBA, so fulfillment by Amazon, if you're expecting them to fulfill, that cutoff is now or never. So again, you want to make sure that that stuff is there. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to fulfill it through Amazon. If for some reason you weren't expecting to fulfill through Amazon, or you're already, your business model is to sell on Amazon and fulfill it yourself, you definitely want to make sure that you have a backup plan. So if you're expecting fulfillment by Amazon, but you're going to run out of product there. You want to make sure you have a 3PL partner that can be responsive to whatever kinds of needs that you have. That you have a local delivery partner if that's what works best for your business, or that you can fulfill it yourself. If you haven't already, you do have kind of a few extra days to make sure that your inventory is across the regions where you can ship with better speed. So again, a lot of that's going to be if you're fulfilling with Amazon, like that's going to kind of be managed by them anyway. But if it's not, if you're fulfilling it yourself, or if you're using your third parties to help you and assist you in that, then you want to make sure that that inventory is where it needs to be. Jay, as we talk about like making sure that your inventory is in the right place, what other types of things should folks be thinking about in these last few days before Prime Days?
Yeah, I mean, I would be looking at that inventory, and where I'm going right now, I'm already thinking about November. I'm thinking
Mm,
Black Friday at this point, and
yeah,
I've been talking that June, July is the time you're prepping for that. So
yeah,
what you really want to do is, if Prime Days are in July, it's February, March when you're doing this work and preparing
yeah,
for that inventory. So if you're at this point, it's kind of too late to really do much about it. But what
right,
you want to do is take advantage of what you do have in stock. You know,
yeah,
maybe shift around some product costs, some product pricing, and lower some margins. Get a loss leader to get them in and looking at your products,
yeah,
and maybe double up, or make a bundle to move some slower moving items that you have, even at a lower margin, but convert it to cash so you can use it to buy more product of those items that you are selling at a higher margin that you need to replenish. So there are a lot of factors that you can look at here. And,
yeah.
again, though, everything we're talking about here applies to Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So
That's
start
right.
thinking about that right now.
Yeah, and what that means is to like prioritize restocking products that have high margins. Jay like basically just said that already, right? If you're if those things are out already, like you're not going to be able to get them in time, but you do want to make sure that they're in the warehouses that they need to be, or that they're at the Amazon fulfillment centers if those are potential out of stocks. Amazon also has their restock recommendation tool that you can use to help to align yourself with what should be on hand right now. And then you can, and then as you do start to use this time to help you plan for uh, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you want to review and adjust lead times for your own outbound shipping if you need to, right? You don't want to put yourself in a bind because you've set a specific delivery date, right? And you can't meet that.
Well,
So it is
let's
important to be thoughtful of this.
let's face it. Amazon has a pretty stringent uh, processing time. They want those products out the door in 2 days,
Right.
and let's look at maybe you are making those products here or buying from a U.S. supplier. You
Yeah.
might be able to have them drop ship them if that's possible. So that might be my first call on. Well, my first call right after watching this in the next hour
Yeah.
is to my supplier. Hey, I know you can't get it to me, but can you drop ship them if I provide you the information? So if
Right.
that's the case, that's a great alternative. You might cost a little bit more on the shipping side and fulfillment, but you're still getting the product out. You're getting the customers happy, and
Yeah.
think of the reviews you can get on that.
Yeah. Especially if you can achieve it quickly, right? That can be a huge thing. That
And
may also be
go ahead and finish.
No, that may also be a thing to focus on, right? As products with strong existing reviews, like
Yeah,
you want to make sure people can continue to get those.
yeah.
And so those are another set of products that you want to prioritize, making sure that you have enough of um, as you get into next week for sure.
And I was gonna say, these products, you are running out in the warehouse, so maybe you shift your advertising there a little bit and say, hey, we're in limited quantities here. Order now,
Yeah,
and you might be able to bump that up and get a nice little burst out of that, even
yeah,
though you have the backup of the drop shipping from the warehouse. So
right, yeah.
you're you're it's not deceptive advertising because your warehouse stock is low.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I think that there are a couple trains of thought there, right? Is what is the smartest way to handle that low stock inventory, right?
yeah,
Is it to pause ads so you don't out of stock yourself, or is it to do what you're talking about, Jay, and just to double down and highlight, hey, the last couple,
yeah,
make it, and especially with it being Prime Days, right? It could be valuable to be like, hey, here's a higher sense of urgency because people are looking at products right now, and you
yeah,
know that. And so this may be, especially if there's some slow mover that you have some low stock of, something like that, where you're looking to get rid of that inventory. Now may be the perfect time to make it look like you've got some high urgency here, rather than something like pausing ads or not focusing on those products.
yeah.
Um,
I would not pause my ads. I would keep it going. I would
yeah,
push it and create that sense of urgency.
right. Yeah, and I think that again, I think it depends on the nature of that product, but
Yeah,
um, but I think in almost every single case, I'd agree with you, right? Like unless it is something where you don't want to challenge the perception of the brand for whatever reason, and you don't want it to be like a thing that you're going to run out of because you pride yourself on always having that particular thing or whatever it might be, right? Um, those are definitely some things to think about as we as you consider both inventory and specifically that low stock inventory.
for
Um,
sure.
any other thoughts about inventory or fulfillment issues or considerations that folks should be making in these last couple days here?
Just make sure you get that product out the door. That's the most important thing. Amazon's
Yeah,
going to take care of their side of it. If you're doing it yourself, your 3PL, just make sure
yeah,
you got the staff ready to get that product out the door. Make sure you're meeting your SLAs with Amazon. Everything will be great.
yeah. That I think that is the best way to look at it right now for sure. The next set of topics that we're going to talk through are both marketing ads and listings that convert fast. And so the first thing is, hey, if you know everybody's coming to your page in 5 days time, or Jay, I think you mentioned like you're some fancy pants, so you're like already what's going on here?
Yeah, so I have a Prime card. So I got an email yesterday saying, "Hey, you have access to Prime deals already." So,
What?
so there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
get that stuff out because we're not waiting
Yeah,
till
that's
Tuesday.
right. Which means that, and it reinforces, right? Like if you go to your product listings, you want to make sure that you've got nice and refreshed titles, that all of your bullet points and are using like updated keyword trends. Like you want to be really thoughtful so that you do land the customers that you're looking for. You also want to make sure that you've got some like good quality lifestyle photos, right? Make sure that it fits into that they're clean images and all of the stuff that goes along with that, and also that you've got those mobile first videos, right? Like again, we talked about this. People are going to be shopping on their phones as they're scrolling through Amazon, so make sure
As I'm
that
doing now.
there you go. There you go. And so it's important then that you have both those pictures and any supporting videos
Yep.
in good quality and good shape, ready to be supportive of the potential sales that you're going to see over the next week. You also want to make sure that you're that you've updated your A plus content to support emotional buying, Jay. And I'm trying to think about exactly what that means. When you think about making that A plus content that way, what kind of supports that emotional buying, that being ready?
Uh, yeah, it's like, I'm trying to think how to put that. It's like having things that pull at the heartstrings that make you go and make that purchase now rather than later.
Oh, sure.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Use the psychology of purchasing when you're doing it. So
Yep.
you're trying to push people to buy now rather than later.
Right.
And
Well, then
yeah,
there are some other things that you can do, right? One of our actionable steps here is also to use urgency language. And so, make sure to reinforce that, hey, this discount's only available during Prime Day, or
yep,
maybe it's that slow moving item or that limited inventory item of, hey, this is only available at this price during Prime Day because that's the only time it's going to be available at all. Or this sale ends on Friday, or early access for Prime members like Jay, Prime card holders, fancy pants is over here. Like that urgency language does help to do that same kind of uh, support that psychological impact of buying. And then we've harped on it, and I'm going to say it again right now. Like, optimize for mobile. So keep those bullet points like nice, crisp, short, and then the image is thumb stopping. I've never really thought about it as that way, but it totally makes sense. Like you want to stop the thumb scroll with whatever image it is that you have of your product. That makes a whole lot of sense.
I can't even
Jay,
think of the last time I went on Amazon.com on my PC or my laptop or computer.
do
I
they
mean,
still
it's
have a website?
always
Joke.
right. I mean, no,
Hmm.
it's always on my phone. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just the way of the world today,
Yeah, it's just an easier. It is definitely a more convenient way to shop.
for sure.
Um, and even though it probably isn't, it feels more secure sometimes. Um, like which is maybe weird. Um, but yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Jay, when it comes to product listings and those types of updates, is there are any other like thoughts or things people should be thinking about as we get into the last couple days here?
Well, one thing I would look at is using Amazon's budget rules and auto
Mm,
scale during peak times. That
yeah,
maybe first thing in the morning, 8 to 10 a.m., and then after work, 7 to 9 p.m. That's the
yeah.
first thing I can think of when I think of that.
Yeah, and that's definitely what you'd want to do as you start to make sure that your promotion and ad budget's right. You definitely want to make sure you've set up the prime exclusive deals, that you've lined that up properly. If you're looking for some visibility for specific products, maybe you've got something that's new to the market, but you want to start getting some traction. Consider using coupons with a 10% coupon or higher, so you can get that additional visibility. And then if you still have the ability to jump into the lightning deal program, like consider doing that. That's
Yeah.
obviously something that will get your stuff focused on as people are checking in every couple hours for whatever's on lightning deal. um, Jay, obviously we're not always in control of the marketing budget, but this is a time frame where increasing an ad budget is really important.
For
You want to
sure.
be thoughtful about it, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
just like flush your cash, but 2 to 3 times your typical daily spend is definitely not unreasonable. Um, but like you mentioned, like using the budget rules to help auto scale that to like
Hmm.
spend the money in the spots where you need it the most
Right.
is really powerful. You also want to make sure that you're shifting it in real time as you're finding winning SKUs or whatever, right? You want to be able to focus on those ones that are having success. That you got the right heartstring picture in there, Jay, right? The right
Yep.
the right video, whatever it is. You want to support those products as you start to see them. And then of course, like and this is not news or anything, but you want to retarget those browsers and cart abandoners that are using those different displays, right? You want to support
For
those as
sure.
well. Um, if you do have sponsored product campaigns, it's obviously really important to tag key keywords, right? So just double check that those things are being done correctly. And it is in the video we talked about them as like heartstring pullers, but they also are those types of things that are thumb stopping, right?
Hmm.
So a video ad or anything of that nature will stop the scrolling, right? It's something that will catch somebody, especially if it's interesting or unique or special in any kind of way.
Yeah, I think
Um,
visual hooks in those videos for sure.
right, right, absolutely, super important. Um, then one last point, right, is just like you want to shift ad spending to winning SKUs, you also want to make sure that you don't overspend on underperforming SKUs, and you want to be really thoughtful and timely with this. You want to reallocate quickly. So Jay, as we think about ad spending, do you know or do you have a thought in mind of what the number one ad mistake you see sellers make on Prime Day is?
Oh yeah, for sure. They set it and forget
Yeah,
it.
right.
And what they do is they treat it like any other day, and Prime Day is not like any other day. This is where competition is coming at you fast and furious,
Right.
and you have to make every ad dollar, work harder and faster.
Yeah, right.
And you can't treat it like last week and just leave it and roll it over. You can't
No.
look at the same targeting. You have to change all of that up. So what you want to do is monitor your campaign performance by the hour, and check it as it's going hour by hour. Shift your budgets towards those top performing ASINs and your
Yeah.
keywords in real time. As you're seeing how it's being impacted, shift that budget right away. Use those budget rules like we talked about to boost campaigns during peak hours, and you know double down on sponsored video and display retargeting. All that is really important. And think of Prime Day as war. You're not going to just send your troops in and forget about them. You're going to get in there, you're going to adapt, you're going to pivot, and you're going to hit harder than you ever did before.
Yeah.
And if you're not looking at your ads dashboard multiple times a day during Prime Day, you're leaking profit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
so let me ask you a question, Chris.
Oh boy.
If you had $2,000 to spend on ads, how
Hmm.
would you spend your ads this week?
Well, I think it's really important to spend a good portion of your ad money on Amazon, where the buyers already are. Right? You
Sure.
don't want to like just fool around and waste it. You definitely want to spend maybe 80% of your typical of that $2,000, right, on your Amazon ads. You want to start that with the sponsored products. We've already talked about that a little bit, right? You're going to target those hero SKUs, those big winners for those sponsored products. You want to split that into top converting keywords from past experience, branded keywords that are exclusive to you, and then specific like SKU or ASIN targeting, right? Like you want to make sure that as it comes to like those those brands that may be your competitors, maybe you can start scooping up a little bit from them as well. With Prime Days being like right after a holiday like this, a pro tip, a real important thing to start thinking about is that you could start with lower bids like now or right out of the weekend to kind of help to warm up those products and
Yeah.
those in that language, and then go aggressively on throughout the Prime Day period. One so maybe you spend 900 of your $2,000 on these sponsored products. Another thing that you can do then is your sponsored brand or your storefront traffic, right? You want to drive Prime Day optimized storefront pages with bundles or collections, and focus on those branded search terms. Again, those same things that we were talking about, those protecting your turf, if you will, uh, and the high performing category keywords. You can maybe spend $350 on this type of thing. This helps to increase your basket size, right? Because people are coming to your store, they're buying the thing that you really want them to buy, and also the thing that they really like. Um, and that can then build your brand authority in the mid funnel. So you're finding those people that like aren't already your customers, but they're not just like broadly broadly scoping out on Prime Day. You're getting the people that are a little bit closer to you. And then finally, you definitely want to earmark some of your advertising money for retargeting, for those sponsored displays. So a past purchaser with maybe an upsell, or recent site visitors, people who've been to your website before, and then of course the people who've put the product in their cart and walked away from it for one reason or another. And those things can be really, really important. The it is those retargeting campaigns can really catch people who almost bought, and it really can just push them over the edge as whatever. It's a really busy time, right? There's lightning deals. Maybe they were about to click on yours, but the lightning deal distracted them or something like that, right? So there's good opportunity there. What that means too, and I think that this is an important thing to remember, is that you want to earmark some ad budget for your off Amazon traffic still. Like, you don't want to spend everything that you've got right there on Amazon, because when you have off Amazon traffic, that helps to boost your rating. It also helps to improve your retargeting post event, and it also like just continues to help feed your brand more broadly. Like, maybe there's a person or two that don't realize that it's Prime Day, and they're just gonna spend some money on your website directly. So don't forget about those people, and make sure to earmark at least a little bit of some ad budget for that off Amazon traffic. Speaking of off Amazon traffic, or before we get to that, Jay, are there any like other ad considerations or marketing considerations people should be making in these last few days here?
No, I think you nailed that right there, and I think that was great. And you know, an 80-20 split, pretty dead on. That's what I would do too. That 20% off Amazon, like you said. There are other things going on during this period as well, because think of Target Circle Week is going on starting the 6th. Yeah, so everybody's jumping on this bandwagon, and we talked about this last year. I mean, Walmart did it, Target did it. So I think being off and being in the Google basically in Google, you're going to be going up possibly against the Target and the Walmarts of the world, but you're going to be there. You're going to get found, and you're just going to spread your brand and help yourself out in the long run. And
absolutely,
it's all going to set you up for after the fact, the retargeting and other factors. So it's a lot going on.
Right, and that goes back to the last topic that we were going to talk about today. That's off Amazon traffic, post Prime momentum, making sure your operational team is all together, right? These are some kind of like last minute things to think about. So remember that you can also push traffic in off Amazon from email blasts or text message blasts, last chance promos, all of that kind of stuff. This would be a very, very useful time to use influencers or micro influencers as people are on Meta or whatever other platform that allow swipe copying codes, right? Like, let that happen. And then that social content, that same type of influencer marketing, if your social content links directly to your Amazon storefront, has the same value, right? And so if that social content includes your, like, this is the time to include that social content for those high producing SKUs, and make sure to link it directly to your Amazon storefront. Make sure also it's really imperative for you to use the Amazon attribution links so that you can measure your ROI on that external traffic. Like, this is a pretty critical thing that you want to make sure that you're thinking on.
Well, the thing I would be looking at here is, we still have TikTok.
We
are in that
for now.
Well, I'm thinking there's going to be a buyer announced in less than 2 weeks.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, there's chatter about that right now. But a couple months ago, they opened up the ability to advertise and use links on Amazon. So this would be a great opportunity to reach out to some of those influencers that are out there and push your products on TikTok on Amazon through TikTok, and utilize that, and see where that ends up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really important thing to do.
Take advantage of the algorithm while we still have it.
That's fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. One other strategy that you'll want to employ is make sure that your operating team is all together, right? You want to make sure that your sales and inventory teams, your ad performance teams, like all of those people are connecting every day to talk, and probably multiple times a day, truly. Like, and these don't have to be long meetings. These could be like little 10-minute syncs, 10-minute huddles, just to talk through, hey, is there anything that we need to turn off? Is there stuff that's performing really poorly? Did our slow moving inventory stay slow moving because it's just sucks, right? Let's make sure everybody on the team is on the same page here. You also want to understand whether you need to suppress or to improve some listings, or to push some listings more, right? And that's a really important thing to think about as you're thinking about your inventory levels, right? So if you have a really high performing product, high performing ad, but that product's almost out of inventory, you don't want to keep pushing that product because you're going to run out of it. So be thoughtful, or maybe you do. Maybe it's an urgency ad, right? Maybe it's that same thing that we talked about before.
Yeah.
So you want to be nimble and agile along the way, so that you can make sure that you're making good strategy decisions along the way. If you do find that you have some SKU that are a nascent issue, right? Like, you need to escalate that fast and make sure that you get it resolved and fixed as quickly as you can. You don't want those things to be longer term problems, and especially not this week. Jay, as you think about making sure your operational team is all aligned and ready to go, what other things should you be thinking about this week?
Well, first thing I would look at is if you are running low on inventory or any stock, making sure you have the appropriate notifications set up and being able to
Mm,
distribute that information to your team so they
right.
know that, and maybe set up different thresholds that where you are in that journey to out of stock. So
Sure.
that
Absolutely.
way
Super
everybody's
important.
on the same page. And
Yep.
yeah, that's where I would go there.
Yeah. And so again, that's a thing that you should be doing during these types of periods for sure. Anyway, again, make it a couple times a day check in of just
Yep.
what's the status, where do we stand on this type of thing, escalate problems. That's general business, but condensed into a 1 day, a 1 or 2 day or whatever 1 week platform set. Um, and then finally, the last thing to think about is what happens at the end. Now Prime days are over.
Yep.
What are you going to do now? Well, there are a few things that you can consider, and a few things that I think are really valuable as you head into the week after Prime days. And the first one of those is obvious and couldn't be more obvious, I don't think. That's to run retargeting ads for those non-buyers, right? Cart abandoners, the people who like clicked on the page, run the retargeting ads. Give yourself a second chance. You're basically extending the deal frame by doing that. Another really important thing to do during this period is to launch a review request campaign, and that allows you you've got this larger volume, right? It allows you this opportunity to be able to highlight the good of your products, as people are excited for them, and as you've had this higher volume. I think that can be really powerful for your brand. Um, and then and then Jay, we kind of started the show with this, but um, this time period is like a trial run for Black Friday, Cyber Monday later, right? So use this data, use all of the information that you gain through this next week to optimize your Q4 strategy, so that you can be ready to go for
Yep.
Black Friday, Cyber Monday stuff, and be well on your way to succeeding in that critical part of the year. Jay, as you think about post prime, anything else to think about or talk about as like backward looking takeaways in 2 weeks time?
No, what I would do is focus on that, everything that you said there, but going forward, optimize that Q4 launch strategy. Look
Yeah,
at
yeah,
look at your ad spend, look at your ROAS, look at what bang for your buck you got with each of your products,
yeah.
and make sure you're setting up your strategy going into the holidays with the
Absolutely.
right
Super.
products and the right advertising strategies. And this is the season where you're going to cash flow and get that profit. So now is the time to start that strategy. And now you have 3 months to perfect it
Right.
and
Absolutely.
utilize this time now. get with your teams and your ad teams and build that strategy. Start building the copy now, and you can even start testing it before the holidays.
Yeah,
You do the same thing. Just take the holiday theme off of those
that's right.
ads.
Prime Day theme,
But
right?
but yeah, but I mean, summer in July. I mean, it works.
I did think about that. Christmas in July.
Christmas in July.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's right. I did think about
summer.
it.
It is summer in July.
That's
But
right.
yeah, sorry. Yeah. So
Yep. I think that's good information, right?
yeah,
And so finally, if we rehash what we talked about today, of course, the number one thing that you want to make sure that you're doing, prioritize those good high volume, high hero SKUs, right? A second, and this actually is maybe the most important, is avoid ad overspend with real time pivots. Be ready to make changes when it's going well, and also be ready to make, and maybe more importantly, be ready to make changes when it's going poorly.
yeah,
Understand that that's a thing that can go bad. You also want to make sure that you execute now, right? It's only a 1 week away. You can't wait for the perfect plan. You can't wait for the perfect strategy. You can use this information to help build your perfect strategy for Q4, like Jay was describing. But you need to execute now. You don't have time to wait.
yeah. What I
Um,
would do if I was you, I
yep,
grab my laptop, I sit at the pool tomorrow, and have a couple cold beverages,
sure.
spend some time
Yeah,
analyzing some of that detail,
America
and
Rita.
take advantage of the fourth. You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a good time to do it, right?
yeah.
Absolutely. Um, and then one other thing, and Jay, I'm not even sure exactly how this works, but don't forget the halo effect of Prime Day. When you think about the halo effect of Prime Day, Jay, does that mean anything to you?
I'm thinking it's that glow that you get from the sale day, and it's the
Yeah,
after effect of having all that traffic and things like that. So take advantage of that and the fact that everything looks good on Prime Day.
yeah, that's true. Absolutely, and it's gonna obviously like spike your sales, so be aware of that as well.
Yeah,
And that is don't expect that to just always happen going forward, right? So, as we do every single time we talk on this show, right? Take one of these things and do it now. And in fact, actually, what I would recommend is for this particular episode, take all of these things and do them now, because there's nothing in here that's not something you can't execute
yeah,
right now. And again, the main point is execute right now. Like you don't have time to wait. It is time to execute. If you want to, please, we'd love to see your comments, love to see your commentary on how you're prepping for Prime Day and what kind of like last minute things you're going to do. Make sure to reach out over on Instagram with your ads. Spam Jay with your ads at ecomj, of your best Prime Day ad, or the ones that you see. Would love to hear what Jay has to say. And then of course, if you need help executing any of these plans, don't forget to contact us at High Rock Accounting. This is the time of year that's the most exciting, where all the actionable data that you've had up to now is being used to be executed. So make sure to do all of those things so that you can be ready for Black Friday, Cyber Monday when the time gets here, and you can have a good partner to be able to help you to interpret that data that you're getting from this week. Jay, any final thoughts today?
you are in the countdown period, and this is it. Use it wisely, and get ready for takeoff on Tuesday, and
Right,
take advantage of it. Build your profits, and yeah, like Chris said, get ready for Black Friday because
right,
this is
absolutely.
it. Time is counting down,
Yep, it's
and
next week.
yesterday was 6 months. The year is half done,
Whew.
and here we are. We'll be staring down the holidays like it was yesterday. So don't
Yep,
don't blink your eyes and get ready.
that's right.
So
Well,
yeah,
thank you everyone for joining us for On the Rocks. I'm Chris. He's Jay. We'll be back here again next week to talk about all things e-commerce, and hopefully to celebrate your wins on Prime Day. So get something good, Jay. I can't wait to hear about whatever it is that you find on your lightning deals or whatnot. Come on, Columbia, help me out here. hit me with the white dot deal.
There you
Uh,
go.
I'll
There
be
you
on
go.
I'll be on the lookout for it. Remember, you can hear us talk about all things e-commerce here on the Rocks every week. So come back next week to see what we've got to talk about next. Uh, Thanks everyone. See you in the next one.
Happy 4th, everyone. We will see you
Woo,
next week.
America.